Hello everybody, Maria from BeFabBeYou, your health and wellness and fitness coach. So excited to talk about blood sugar cycle tonight. Today is day 21 out of 30 and I love this stuff. So I'm going to probably be focusing the camera over here and explaining to you what's going on. You see it like this? Yes, I love this thing when you kind of do, speaking engagements and all that. I'm like, woo! I can use this little thing. But anyway, so I love this topic because, I think it's important for people to understand how a normal blood sugar works, because really this is about management of hormones, and those are the kings and queens in our body, and they play a key role in homeostasis. So that is keep the body all happy, right? So I call it that the body is a perfect machine for the most of us when we are born. And it is life, and how we treat that machine, and we put the oil, we kind of adjust the screws and all that kind of stuff, and the machine keeps working. And and energy is literally our capacity to do work, right? So if we think that our body is a machine, so how do we want this machine to produce? How many pieces of whatever, a day, right? So that is our job. I think that's the more focus we put into treating this machine well and understanding what impacts this machine. That's what I love and fell in love with when I started studying this stuff about 7-8 years ago. And then I changed my body, and it was started with this guy, through nutrition, okay, through a nutrition that works for me. And eventually I became really passionate about it, and I said people need to know this stuff. So that's what BeFabBeYou was created, because of my passion for all this stuff, and I continue to learn every day. So anyway, I'm gonna turn this camera, so hang with me over here so I can see what you guys see, and I'll explain. It's still kind of tough. I'll be glad to put a picture of this, so you guys can see it. I'm gonna get out of this picture, okay? So I have a tripod over here. But so this is, I kind of showed this to you in the past, my little chart that I'm really proud of, right here. So this basically is how, one meal kind of a cycle of the blood sugar, assuming that is the body's working in homeostasis and working really well, okay? So I'm going to explain this, a little different over here, because, people get information in different ways. And this might be a better way for you if you didn't get that the other time, okay? So anyway, so I'm getting out of this picture, okay, and I'm going to explain this, and feel free if you're watching this live to ask me questions. If you're not watching live, please feel free to drop the questions and comments, and I'll be answered. And you can always actually set up a free, complimentary, I guess, session to discuss, what's going on. And it's, I put the link, I think, on the page, but it's www.energy.befabbeyu.com, okay? I'll be glad to walk you through and hear what you're going through and see, give you a few tips and help you to pave a way, okay? And if I'm a match to work with you, we can always work together. If not, that's okay. You lost nothing. You learned something for sure, okay? So anyway, so here's how it goes. Let me put this a little closer and I'll move as we go, okay? Okay, so again, normal blood sugar cycle, okay? I know it's kind of hard to read, I think, because of the camera, the way so. But let's start over here. We're hungry, we kind of eat, right? And remember, this is normal blood sugar, okay? If you have impairment, if you're insulin resistance, and all that kind of stuff, or pre-diabetic or diabetic, the body is not operating this well, okay? So anyway, we eat, okay, put some good nutrition in the body, and the next stage is actually, the blood sugar is going to go up. It's rarely it's not going to go up, right? It's going to have some movement, right? So as the blood sugar goes up, then our pancreas over here secretes insulin, which is a hormone that we all hear about, pre-diabetics and, pre-diabetics, now we hear about, insulin resistance and diabetics, right? Type 1 or 2. So the pancreas secretes insulin, right? The insulin's job is basically to take the glucose, which is sugar, okay, to the cells. And assuming everything is working well, the blood sugar then, so it's removed, right? The sugar is removed from the blood and essentially then goes to where? To the cell, right? But before it goes to the cell, there is leptin, which is another hormone that is secreted by the fat cells, right? It's waking up over here. So we want this hormone to be up as well, because then it's going to say, hey, it's time, it's time to start burning fat. So we kind of don't overeat either, right? So blood sugar goes down. So in order to maintain our homeostasis and have energy when there is no glucose in the blood, that's where we start burning fat, okay? So the pancreas, eventually stops producing the insulin, right? Because the insulin already done its job, which takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to close that gap. And that is what, when you saw this over here, that's what we are, let me show over here. So that's the insulin is going up, and eventually, the blood sugar starts going down, and then the insulin stops being secreted, right? And the fat burning starts. That's where this kind of relates to this graph, all right? So hopefully we're going to be burning fat for about, 2 to 3.5 hours, right? So going back over here, the pancreas stops secreting insulin, so pancreas getting a rest, right? And then because this glucose now is able to get to the cell, right? Energy is produced, right? And there is several different, vitamins and minerals, and it's kind of complex. That needs to happen for this to happen perfectly, right? And then eventually, an average of, 4 to 6 hours, if you ate a balanced meal, you're hungry again, and the whole cycle starts, okay? So that's how it happens. Okay, so that's normal. So when this cycle is impaired, what happens over here? There's breaks, okay? So if a person is insulin resistant, right, and a lot of people are, and they are actually not aware of it, okay, then this cell over here is not going to get the insulin because the insulin receptors of the cell are kind of damaged, okay? Not 100% of them, but there's going to be much harder to get that glucose into the cell because the insulin resistance means the cell, the receptors on the cell that are outside picking up the stuff, is kind of not good, right? I was just like that, okay? So you keep putting them more food, or you keep putting things that are stimulants, to keep your energy up, and then you crash again, and you do the same thing over and over and over. So that's a roller coaster, right? So this is an impairment over here. That means that pancreas is going to continue to produce insulin because there is a lot of blood circulating, yes, hopefully there is. There is a lot of glucose still circulating in the blood. So the pancreas is like, okay, we need you. So in this cycle is not working, insulin is up, blood sugar is up, and inflammatory cascade starts, and fat storage starts too, because insulin is a fat storage hormone, right? So, and then obviously this leptin over here is going to be interrupted as well, because a person is going to potentially keep eating often, and there's no signal over here to say, hey, stop eating. So eventually a person can become leptin resistant, and and that happens a lot sometimes with overweight or obese individuals. But you don't have to be overweight or obese to be leptin resistant, okay? But basically the fat cells they get tired and said, okay, I give up on this. And doesn't communicate well with the brain, and you keep eating thinking that you need food, but in reality it's because you're insulin resistant. So how do you fix leptin resistance? You fix the insulin resistance first. How do we do that? We do that by managing our blood sugar. How do we do that? By eating well and sleeping, stress management, and a bunch of other stuff, and exercise, all the stuff that I teach, okay? And I love to tell people how to do it because I did it myself. And so several things in this process over here get disrupted, and obviously you're not getting energy, produced as much as you would like to, okay? So all of a sudden you think you're fatigued. It could be because of something like this, all right? So anyway, I wanted to share that with you today. Questions, let me know. Love you all, and tomorrow is day 22. This week sometime I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting. Somebody asked earlier, and I said, well, maybe I can use one of these, to do intermittent fasting. So I'll do that, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, sometime this week, okay? Intermittent fasting, I do that often once a week for 24 hours, and I'll explain the pros and the cons. And when it's recommended to do it. It's not for everybody, and you don't jump into doing intermittent fasting all of a sudden, okay? Have to really be in a well conditioned body to do so, but it can be extremely beneficial for weight loss, okay? And also to fast and to teach the body to actually burn fat. So very good way to kind of practice. It's just transition. So I'll talk more about it sometime this week. Good night. Have a good week ahead, but I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.